Okay, picture this. It's late. You're lying in bed, your face is lit up by the glow of your phone, and you're just endlessly scrolling through stuff you don't even really care about. And you're not actually having fun, are you? In fact, there's this heavy, sinking feeling of guilt because that massive project is due tomorrow and you haven't even started. You keep telling yourself you're lazy or you just don't have enough willpower, but really, deep down, you just feel paralyzed.
Yeah, if that sounds familiar, it's because it's a pretty much universal experience. That horrible pit in your stomach, that weird mix of anxiety, and the complete inability to just start the thing you know you have to do.
And the numbers totally back this up. You are definitely not alone. Studies show that a staggering 95% of college students say they're procrastinators, along with a solid 20% of all adults. So this isn't some personal flaw, it's just a widespread human thing.
So here's the big question. What if that whole story you're telling yourself is just wrong? What if this has nothing to do with being lazy? What if it's actually a physical, biological war happening inside your own head?
Because that's exactly what the science is telling us. Procrastination is the result of a very real, very physical tug of war between two totally different parts of your brain.
Okay, so on one side, you've got your limbic system. This is the ancient, automatic part of your brain that only cares about right now. Just think of it like a toddler. It wants to feel good immediately, and it absolutely hates feeling stressed. Then on the other side, you've got your prefrontal cortex. That's the rational manager that gets future consequences. So when a task feels tough or scary, the toddler, your limbic system, basically throws a full-on tantrum, hijacks your brain, and steers you towards something that feels good right now, like watching videos just to escape that discomfort. And this whole brain battle, it leads us to a completely different way of looking at this whole thing. Neuroscientists now see procrastination not as a time management failure, but as an emotion regulation problem. You don't need a better calendar, you need a better way to deal with tough feelings. So get this, it means we're not actually avoiding the work. We're avoiding the nasty feelings the work kicks up, the anxiety that we're not going to be good enough, the pure boredom of a tedious task, or that overwhelming fear of failure. And this is exactly why perfectionists are often the biggest procrastinators. The thought of not doing a perfect job feels so dangerous to their self-worth that it's just emotionally easier to not even start.
Okay, so if our brain is hardwired to run from discomfort, why in the world do we eventually start? Usually in that last-minute caffeine-fueled panic. Well, believe it or not, there's a scientific theory for that too. It's something called temporal motivation theory, and honestly, it gives us a formula that pretty much nails why we do this. So this theory basically boils our motivation down to a simple equation. Your drive is high when you expect you'll succeed and the reward is valuable. But, and this is the key, it gets absolutely crushed by your impulsiveness and most importantly, the delay, the time until the deadline. When that reward feels like it's ages away, your brain just discounts its value and your motivation completely tanks. And this timeline of a college essay, man, it just perfectly illustrates the whole crazy cycle. The essay gets assigned in September, it's due in December. For months, that reward is way too far off, so hanging out with friends feels way more motivating. But then, as the deadline gets closer and closer, that delay factor shrinks. All of a sudden, the stress of not doing the work becomes worse than the discomfort of starting it, and bam, your motivation spikes, forcing you into that final panicked sprint. All this might just seem like a quirky, if super stressful, way to get stuff done. But the research is pretty clear. This cycle of delay has real, tangible, and honestly pretty negative consequences on our lives. Let's just start with money. Get this. According to one huge study, a single-point increase on a 5-point procrastination scale was linked to a drop in yearly salary of around $15,000. That is a serious financial hit. And that same research, it found another really stark connection. When they looked at the unemployed population, procrastinators made up the majority, a staggering 57%. Delaying things has a real-world impact on our careers. And it's not just about your career or your bank account. It hits your health, too. I mean, chronic procrastination is linked to some really serious stuff. Higher, constant levels of stress, worse sleep, and even an increased risk of physical problems like hypertension and heart disease. But maybe the worst part, the really sneaky cost, is what it does to your head. You get trapped in this miserable state that researchers call unearned leisure. It's where you're not doing the work,
but you can't actually relax and enjoy your free time because the guilt and anxiety are just hanging over you. It's literally the worst of both worlds. Okay, so after all that, here's the good news. You are not doomed to repeat this cycle forever. Your brain can be rewired, and the key isn't trying to find more willpower. That stuff runs out. The key is to build better systems that actually work with your brain's biology instead of fighting against it. So one really powerful trick to try is the 5-second rule. The second you feel that instinct to act on something, just count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and physically move. This simple countdown acts like a little ritual that interrupts your brain's habit of hesitating. It literally shifts you from that emotional toddler brain to your rational manager brain, and it launches you into action before you can talk yourself out of it.
All right, 2 more super simple systems for you. First up is chunking. Instead of staring at some huge, terrifying task, just break it down into tiny micro steps. Your only goal is to do the very first 2-minute action. That's it. And finally, manage your mental energy. Your ability to make hard choices is like a battery, and it's fully charged in the morning. So do your most dreaded task first thing when your rational brain is at its peak.
Look, the next time you find yourself falling into that 2 a.m. trap, just try to change the story you're telling yourself. You're not lazy. You're not weak or undisciplined. Your brain is just trying to protect you from stress in a really clumsy, ancient way. And understanding the biology behind why you delay, that's the real first step to finally taking control.
So I'm curious, what's that one thing you've been putting off? Go ahead and name it in the comments below. You'd be surprised. Just writing it down might be the tiny first step you need to actually get it done.